Have you ever tried to beat a dead horse? I mean, literally take a stick or a whip or whatever, and you got a dead horse. Maybe the horse is out there laying in the field somewhere. I want this horse to move. So I'm going to make him move. I'm going to go out there and whoop him. No, nobody ever does that, but we have this odd expression that you can't whip a dead horse, which is kind of like stating the obvious, and we all know what it means. You know, it means that if something is dead, it's dead, and there's no point in trying to make it move, trying to make something out of it that's not there. Now, if we understand that concept, then we understand why silence is golden when it comes to defeating a narcissist. What you do is simply you play the dead horse. You play possum, maybe. But you are playing the role of a gray rock. You've heard of that before. So when the narcissist tries to contact you or tries to get any emotional response out of you whatsoever, they get nothing. It's like beating a dead horse. And once we master that principle, and I say master for a reason, once we master that principle, we're on our way to success. Now, what do I mean, master the principle? I mean, playing the dead horse is not as easy as it sounds because nature has taught us, and experience has taught us, that when somebody asks us a question, we respond. We will with an answer. When somebody speaks to us, we return. It's just natural to do that. So we've got to master the science, the art of just being quiet. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But, try it sometime. So back when I was a public speaker, one of the things I would do to illustrate this point is I would carry around in my pocket one of those little, I forget what you call them. I think you call them Nerf balls. A really soft little ball, and I would throw it at somebody, knowing it couldn't possibly hurt them, but their natural response was to reach their hands up and they would catch it. And that's the same thing as asking somebody a question. The natural thing to do is reach your hands up and catch that question by answering it. Or the same thing if somebody sends you an email. You open it and you read it, even if you have no intentions of replying. Or if somebody sends you a text message, even more so. Because, a lot of email is spam. We can skip through things just by looking at them. But if we know the person sending the email and we know the person sending the spam, even if it's the narcissist, we can't resist opening up and looking at what the narcissist has to say. And then we have to resist responding after we read it. And that's particularly hard because he will say something or she will say something. Or maybe ask a question and we say, I get a good response to that. And this will put an end to it now and forever. And of course it doesn't. No matter what you say, it's like an argument. Doesn't matter how good your argument, the guy you're arguing with will say something back. Could be totally insane what they say back, but they got to say something back. So if you respond to that email, you respond to the text, you answer the phone, you got caller ID, it's a narcissist, but okay, what's the net want now? So you pick up the phone. And maybe they use an old method and actually try to reach out to you through the mail. Now, some of these narcissists, they like to think they're savvy. So what they will do is they will send you maybe a Christmas card, Christmas time, obviously. Maybe a birthday, just to get your attention, and your response is, got your card, thanks for it. Here's the point. A dead horse would never, a live horse would never answer a Christmas card, but a dead horse would never respond to any stimuli whatsoever because it's dead. Same thing with a gray rock. The gray rock is not going to open the email. Totally not curious what it has to say. So the key to defeating a narcissist is your absolute positive silence. As if you were the dead horse, as if you were the gray rock. Well, you know the cycle, right? First of all, there is what we call deep interest, or some people call that love bombing. I like to call it grooming because that's a more accurate term, but for the sake of alliteration, let's call it deep interest. Stage number 2 is devalue. Stage number 3 is discard, discredit, and destroy. So that summarizes the whole essence of dealing with a narcissist, those 3 stages. Deep interest, devalue, and discard. That's it. But somewhere along the line, we're thinking, how do I get rid of this guy? Because, I've gone through the deep interest part, the love bombing. That worked very well on me, and we had this nice relationship, and then we moved into devalue, and it soured quickly, which actually was sour from the beginning. We just didn't know that. And quickly approaching is the discard, which includes discrediting, the smear campaign, and destroying. What the narcissist cannot dominate, he wants to destroy. She wants to destroy. What they cannot run, they want to ruin. And if they can no longer run you, they want to ruin you. You no longer respond when they pull the strings, the puppeteer. They're not going to put up with that. So they're going to do whatever they can to destroy you. And that's going to be their last little bit of supply. That last little bit of control. That last little bit of ego boosting. How do you get rid of this? Dead horse, no response. So when the narcissist sends you an email, what do you do with it? Do you have a delete button on your computer? Yeah, in your email is there some little icon that says delete, and you can push that little icon and you can delete whatever. You can do that, right? So you know that you can do these things. The question isn't can you do them? The question more likely is will you do them? We can do them. I mean, you don't have to catch that little Nerf ball. We cannot read email. We cannot respond to text. We can block narcissists. We cannot speak to them when we see them in public. I told somebody recently, when somebody contacts you, ignore them. Oh, I can't do that. Why? Why? Tell me why you can't ignore somebody when you know they are devious, you know they are dishonest, you know they are toxic. Come on, I'm pretty sure I can ignore something that's toxic. Not only can I ignore it, I can run away from it. I can get away from it. I'm pretty sure if the house is on fire, okay, I'm going to get out of there. I know I can do that. Think of the narcissist as a house on fire. Get away from it. This person is toxic. It's like breathing in toxic fumes. You're going to die if you breathe in. It depends on the fumes, but if they're toxic enough, you're going to die. And the fact of the matter is, okay, this might be a bit of a stretch, but some people are finding themselves in the pit of depression because they have to deal with toxic people. Now, I'm speaking from experience, and the only way to solve that problem, the key to solve the problem, dead silence. It's like, what do they call it? Radio silence. Remember back during, well, you don't remember because you're not that old, but you can remember reading about World War II. And the Germans were bombing parts of England. And what would they do? Lights out, everybody. One person, one time, turn on a light or light a candle. And that could be devastating for the whole community. So one time you answer that email. One time you pick up the telephone and you see on the caller ID it's the narcissist. One time you see the narcissist in public. And this is the hard part. When the narcissist walks up to you all cheery and wonderful and pretending, that they're good people, and there's other people standing around watching. That's really hard to ignore that person because then you become the bad guy, right? Yeah, that's what happens. You become the bad guy. So how are you going to deal with this? Well, I got to tell you, in my opinion, my experience, I'm not advising you what to do. I'm just telling you what I would do, I think. I've got to be in that situation because sometimes they can catch me off guard. But the proper thing to do, put it that way, in my opinion, ignore them. And those other people, yeah, they may think you're a bad guy and the narcissist is the good guy because they are being friendly and you are not. But then again, they may stop and ask the question, what did the narcissist do? They don't call them a narcissist, obviously. But what did this person do so severe, so toxic, that is causing Ken to stay away from them? And by the way, a hateful response is as bad as a cheerful response. Any response whatsoever. Still, you are encouraging the narcissist to engage. What you want the narcissist to do, at least what I want the narcissist to do, is just realize that any effort at engagement with me is like trying to have a conversation with Mr. Ed, who happens to be dead. Dead Mr. Ed. If you don't know who Mr. Ed is, Google it. So the thing to do is to go dead horse or go gray rock, whatever you want to call it. And let's keep this principle in mind because it's so very important. There are two responses to every question. One of two responses. You answer this way, you answer that way. Or you respond this way, you respond that way. Number one is every question is either asked to get an answer. You know, somebody asks you, what time is it? They don't ask that anymore because everyone has a cell phone. But back in the day, you know, people had watches or they didn't have watches. And if they couldn't see a clock, they would say, do you know what time it is? Actually, they would say, do you know the correct time? As if you're going to tell them the incorrect time. But that's what people said. Do you have the correct time? They wanted an answer. They didn't want to argue about the time. They just want to know what time it is. Unless you're a teenager and you come home like, I don't know, a couple hours late, wee hours of the morning when you had a curfew of 10 o'clock and you open the door and there's mom or dad or maybe both of them and they ask the same question. Do you know what time it is? Well, they know what time it is. That's why they're up staring at the door waiting for you to come in. They know what time it is. They're looking for an argument. Excuse me. They are looking for a confrontation. The two of you. So there are two reasons people ask questions. Number one is they want an answer. Number two, they want to provoke some kind of response. When a narcissist contacts you, why is he contacting you? Well, just one. Number two of those two options. He is contacting you because he wants a response. She wants a response. What they want to do is they want to control you. That is all there is to it. Nothing more, nothing less. They just want to engage in an argument or maybe some kind of response, some way to control you. And once we get this principle that the key is silence to defeating a narcissist, then, well, I think we can defeat the narcissist. See those two rectangles on the screen? Let's keep on talking if you want. Click one of those rectangles and our conversation will continue. If not, thanks for stopping by and see y'all next time.